Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. The sudden news this week that Indianapolis-based Celadon Group had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and immediately shut down business operations left around 4,000 employees looking for a new job. That announcement being felt not only here in Indiana, but throughout the national trucking industry as well. It is an industry that has been dealing with a severe driver shortage for decades. Founded in 1985, Celadon grew into the largest provider of international truckload services in North America, with a fleet of 3,300 tractors, 10,000 trailers, and nearly 4,000 employees. With perspective on the impact of the announcement here in Indiana and beyond, pleased to be joined by Indiana Motor Truck Association President Gary Langston. As always, Gary, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
The news this week, there have been a lot of questions surrounding Celadon, certainly for a couple of years, but still the news of the bankruptcy filing and immediate closure had to come as a shock to you and others in the industry.
It did. Not a total surprise that it happened, but a surprise that it was so quick.
Mm-hmm. Number of factors being looked at. Certainly there's some concern of a downturn in the economy, but in Celadon's case, a lot surrounding accounting irregularities and charges. The company ordered to pay $40+ million, I think the number was, in restitution to shareholders. A couple of former officers arrested. So it was a unique situation that doesn't really reflect necessarily on the state of the trucking industry.
No, not at all. That's not the way the trucking industry operates, but it certainly had an impact. I don't think that's the they were subject to all the same challenges of all other carriers as far as cost increases and the other things, but the legacy headwinds that they've been facing for the last couple of years have just been predominant.
Yeah, let's talk about the impact. First of all, in all, about 4,000 employees impacted, many of them drivers. There's a driver shortage that continues. Will these drivers find it difficult to find new employment?
Well, most of them won't. Because we do have a driver shortage. It's even surprising to us in the trucking industry to see the response from the other carriers, our carriers across the nation, who reached out immediately, not only at a altruistic level, but at a business level to be helpful here. And we immediately had a list of about 25 carriers that sent us their information and said, if there are drivers interested in what we have to offer, we would like to talk to them. So I don't believe the drivers, the mechanics, the dispatchers, the skilled positions will have much trouble finding work. It'll more than likely be the 400 or 500 back office people that it might take a little longer.
Yeah, Gary, talk about the impact in your view here in Indiana, then more broadly to the industry, because Celadon certainly was a major player that has impact on the national industry as well.
Sure. Again, the freight's still there. It's just other people will be hauling it. It's an impact to Indiana. It's not a surprise that the company went out. The trucking industry has experienced that kind of activity over the last year. There were more failures in the first half of 2019 than there were in all of 18. So it's not a surprise that happened, but it is an impact on Indiana. As a big company that employed a lot of people, paid a lot of taxes here to the state. A lot of other businesses fed off of the fact that they were here. So those will all be impacted by their absence.
Yeah, I could not help but think this week in covering this story of Steve Russell, the man who founded the company, started in New York, handpicked Indianapolis to come here and start and grow what became a billion-dollar company, gave back the community. Really tough to think about what he built, and now it's essentially.
That might be one of the toughest parts. I was fortunate to know Steve and work with Steve the last decade, and he had his heart and soul here. Yep. He put everything he had into it, and he used the name Celadon because he said it's the most beautiful name in the world that everybody remembers, and I don't like to think about how he would feel about that.
Yeah. 30 seconds left, Gary, but as you look at the state of the industry here and beyond going into next year, 2020, any big issues? The driver issue is one, but any other big issues?
Well, cost continues to increase. USMCA, good news on that in the last couple of days. So that will be helpful to our industry. We're still trying to balance the federal and state positions on the marijuana.
Yep.
and then technology, and finally infrastructure financing.
All right, Gary Langston, the Indiana Motor Truck Association president. Great perspective on the Celadon story. Thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you very much.